All right, so to repeat myself for those of you that are live, this is for the final spot. The final player that will replace the relegated players out of Platinum League is going to be found out here in this series. Both 20 years old. You have Margougou from France playing as the Bulgarians here on Atacama. And then in the blue, we have Sebastian from Uruguay. This should be a fun series. I'm leaning towards Margougou only because Margougou has a bit more tournament experience. And it's not that much more, like maybe like 6 months, maybe a year more. But it's just Margougou in his team games has, I think, experienced more of that stress and pressure. And my theory, I could be wrong. Some people might just deal with pressure, like it's nothing. But I think that takes a little bit of time. You need to get some losses out of the way. You need to get some experience in. So obviously awesome that Titans League can give players additional experience there, and then every 6 months you've got a new season. But that's my prediction, but it could be anyone's series. I honestly have no clue. I'm just excited to see these two names competing, as I played against them both on the ladder a lot, and I know that they've got a lot of potential. Civ-wise, though, I expect this to be very aggressive in the middle. Bulgarians have the cheaper blacksmith upgrades, but they also have the man-at-arm upgrade for free, and I think that Margougou will be looking to scout the wood line, and if the wood line can be towered, that's one of the best strategies with this civilization. The Huns, they do not have to build houses. That does not feel strong until a little bit later on in the game, but in the mid-game and feudal age is where they start to really kick in and be that dominant civilization they are. So on one hand, if it gets messy, I think the Huns can be very strong, but I guess Bulgarians are just better at creating the mess. I guess that's the way to say it. And you, of course, do have water that you can compete for. I do think we'll both see that. We'll see that from both as well. So I'm trying to describe for you guys, because this set is so exciting because you probably don't know them as well as I do, and as well as some of the others around the top 100 do. But just to give you some perspective on them, I'm trying to think a little bit about how I could describe these two. They're both very similar. They're both very aggressive. If you were to look at my games against them, if I lose, I'm probably losing within the first 25 minutes, right? The longer the game goes, I think they both have similar weaknesses with a lack of macro. However, they both are so good in the early game that that's not normally as big a concern. And if I had to pick a player of the two of them that was, say, better in late game, and I don't know if that describes this game. I think it might describe more like Ravines later on. I would probably say Margougou is arguably the better late game player, but again, I just don't see them get to late game enough. So it is stylistically a very exciting matchup, as I think they're both similar players. Sebastian, I wasn't expecting him to do so well in his groups. I thought that maybe he would end up in 4th place, but he ended up in 2nd place in his group, if I'm not mistaken. 2nd place behind Margougou's training partner and teammate on France, Citeaux, who pretty much dominated everybody there. But Sebastian had sick results. I'd have to remember, but I think he got a win off of Citeaux. I think he beat Daniel. I think he lost to Overtaken, and then he beat Kingston or something. Kingston, one of the other players who actually be moving on to Platinum. Another young player from Mexico. There's the dock here from Margougou on the left, and then you have the dock on the right for Sebastian. And this is where Huns start to feel quite nice because you're not having to make houses. So the wood count, in theory, should spike up a little bit. You'll see that there shortly as we have some small walls here from Sebastian just in case his opponent comes in with aggression. Smart thing to do if you don't have the scouting in on if he has a barracks yet or not. So actually, let's think about this. So of the 8 players that will be, or I guess the 7 players we have confirmed that will be moving on into the relegation spots from this season's Platinum, 3 of them right now, is it 3 of them that's confirmed to be out of Group D? You have Citeaux, and then you have Kingston. Oh, and then I guess it would be 3 if Sebastian did. Okay, my bad. I was doing the math wrong in my head. Yeah, I was saying that Group D was also Group of Death, so it's pretty fitting. All right, 2 wood lines here for Sebastian. Sebastian's on the way to feudal age. And we have the barracks for Margougou, but where Margougou make the militia? I think the answer is yes, as we have villagers heading over to gold right now. And here come those militia. Scouting for Margougou is pretty solid. Sees both lumber camps, and it feels like a tower here would be awesome. We'll see if maybe one villager will make the tower. You can see the villagers walking over this way. Might also just be for a wall, though, honestly. Villagers not moving. Okay, house palisade. Scouts will find each other in the middle. Margougou will be to feudal age slightly faster. These are some crazy uptimes for these two. And here comes the militia. Yeah, so Sebastian was known as Call Me Subutai in the past. And then, as he started to improve, he switched his name over to Sebastian, so... I had a couple YouTube videos with Call Me Subutai, but normally that was back when he would, like, lame me. And I was back when I had his number every time I played him as well, and here he is, so... But yeah, I don't even think Call Me Subutai would really be something that you guys would recognize that much either, so it's cool that you guys don't know him, and that you get to see him here, and I've got so many messages on Twitter and YouTube and on the stream. People have just been all about Uruguay, man. Let's go Uruguay. Rooting for him. All right, well, the man-at-arm pressure has so far been successfully walled out. We will have an archer and most likely a spearman for Margougou as a follow-up. And we have archers for Sebastian as well. So Sebastian playing defensive right now, but hasn't lost anything yet. And it's becoming kind of awkward for Margougou. And if Margougou were to go too far this way... Sebastian, make a gate. Oh, my God. Can you imagine if he made a gate there? It's risky, but it would have trapped everything. Game 1, an important best of 5, though. If you make that mistake, you're then tilted, frustrated, and you're not going to be too pleased with yourself. And Margougou takes some big hits there from the spearman, which is what the spearman was designed to do. And now Margougou is going to have a ranged follow-up. And there's the blacksmith now. So that blacksmith will be a talking point on both sides. There's the blacksmith for Sebastian. And fletching is on the way. But you'd expect fletching to come in quite quickly as well from Bulgarians, because they do research it faster. And so there's fletching now. And yeah, they'll actually have fletching at around the same time. So far, the execution has been pretty close. But different strategies, obviously. And the man-at-arms, they might die to archers, but they could still distract, which will allow Margougou to micro with his archers against the archers from Sebastian. And no real sneakiness with the docks just yet. It's just archer micro. And the archer micro is looking good for Sebastian so far. Really good grouping. Adding the spearman in front as a meat shield. Backing away towards the TC. TC fire should help against the man-at-arms. Margougou backing away. And there's just... With these two, there's just so much focus on the armies all the time. It's wild, man. And we'll see Skirm and Archer from Sebastian. Now Huns feel strong, right? You've got 2 ranges. You don't ever have to make houses. Bulgarians normally end the game quickly. And we'll have armor in as well, though, for Margougou. So his skirmishers are going to start to tank quite a bit. And Sebastian's making archers and skirms. So far, the KD is 3-2. It's very close. And the micro from both is impressive. Dang. Would the gate go up? I think it would, because you'd have the archer there, but it's probably not worth it. So, it's one of those things that you probably shouldn't try. Now, if Margougou can, in theory, use his skirms in front and just pick off these villagers behind the woodline, it would be great for him. But I think he's going to fall off in numbers here. He's producing out of 1 range. He's done a good job not getting housed, but he might get housed here in a moment. Something the Huns don't have to worry about. And now this ranged army pushes back the skirmishers. However, there's a man-at-arm on this villager. And now Margougou is sneaking around with these archers. And Sebastian gets picked off as he goes to loop around. And it's looking a bit better for Margougou right now, because these archers haven't been tracked. Wow, 7-7 KD. We have armor now coming in for Margougou. That micro there was so sick. I can't wait to look at the APM for these players after this. Will be scouts now for Margougou. Now, what's lovely about this is, like, when he added the stable, his opponent had a lot of archers. And so now at this stage, his opponent's losing a lot of his archers. And it's mainly skirmishers. So scouts with armor are going to be even stronger. So the timing on the scout switch is perfect. And it feels like he knows it. He's going to bring the scout this way. All he needs to focus on is whittling down the archers. We will have a dock in the north for Sebastian eventually. This gets dealt with. This will get dealt with. Now you have skirmishers pulling back. Now suddenly Sebastian's going to need to have archers and spearmen again. 500 gold for Margougou. So he hasn't really been spending that, but here he comes with a tower, and he's going to back up with it wisely. And now Sebastian responds with his own tower. What a game, man. What a game. Like, this scout's not... It has accomplished a lot with 3 kills, but that might not be the end of it. Still a lot of ranged army for Sebastian. My god, this is so sick. Also, Sebastian's TC is looking very healthy with farms. Margougou getting there as well. Margougou bails on the idea of this tower. Sebastian figures I might as well complete it. And this is the series that I thought we would have. Aggression from both players. The micro's been close, but look at the resources for the Uruguayan. He also had an amazing game. I forgot to upload it. And Robo, I don't know if you're listening, but if you could remember what day I casted that and let me know, maybe we could eventually find it to put it on YouTube. It was the llama game, Robo. I don't know what day it was. But he had an amazing game on Atacama in the group stages against Kingston. And then he just continued to get result after result after result after result. And eventually found himself second place in the group. But, like, holy crap, this army production's wild. And he's on his way up. So, this is all in feudal age for Margougou. And as the eco is starting to fall apart for Margougou, Margougou needs to kill this. And honestly, can you easily kill this? You've got 6 archers and 2 spearmen in the group. If the spearmen aren't there, maybe. But with only 4 scouts, I don't think this is going to be easy. A tower for the Frenchman. Sebastian will be happy that he's not taking much damage right now. He did actually take damage, excuse me. But he has the spearmen there to deal with those scouts. Total KD is 29 to 16. And Sebastian's already prepping armor to be able to go for knights in the next stage. Yeah, so the problem with going to gold for man-at-arm builds with the Bulgarians, and problem with playing into archers long-term, is you don't get crossbow. So this will happen a lot, where if you send fills to gold originally, you're like, well, why am I even on gold? Those scouts need to find value somewhere, whether it's Vil kills or whether it's killing this army, they need to do something. Because if knights show up, I know the wood line could be walled in, but even that could get ranged by cav archers. Like, Sebastian sees everything right now. And the GG's called. Margougou realizes there's nothing I can do. He can't easily take care of this army. And we know Atacama can bring us some quick games, but amazing defense and execution from Sebastian, seriously. Made it look all so easy. The timing on the archers, the timing on the second range, and then the macro. And that's game 1, folks. Yeah, I don't love the idea of trying to just play man-at-arm range against Huns. I personally would use that time as Sebastian is opening with his own range. I would love to see that time utilized with a tower rush. Now, I think what made him question it was he scouted 2 wood lines, and if you tower this wood line, then your opponent pulls the villagers off and just goes to this one. But I still think if you place that tower, it's taking advantage of a time window. Whereas if you just go man-at-arms, they're just going to wall it out. And then Bulgarians don't feel maybe quite as exciting. Anyways, we'll back out to the Civ drop. Actually, let's look at the resources collected, because it was probably smooth. Yep, 600 more food, more gold, a lot less wasted wood. Obviously didn't have to spend as much wood on houses too, so probably led to some of the food and the fishing ships, etc. And there's the domination for the Uruguayan as we move on to game 2. All right, game number 2. Very short game, the first one. Sebastian's gone for the Byzantines here. But we'll see if he can perform as good as he did in the previous one. And Margougou has gone for the Britons. And what a lovely Civ matchup. I think both of these Civs are top on this map. But I also, while I think I prefer the Briton bonuses and how they play out leading up towards Castle Age, the reason I love Byzantines is just because of how good they can shape up against their opponent in the long run. Wow, both players have some really nasty golds, though. Like, this gold, honestly, maybe the worst gold generation I've ever seen on Golden Swamp. I guess you could always take this one, but still, like, that gold is really disgusting. And then this gold as well is quite bad. If the enemy takes water in this one, it could be more important than some of the other generations we've had. Okay, so what I've talked about with the Byzantines is how good they are at dominating water. More HP on their buildings, which applies to their docks. Their fast fires work, their fire ships work faster. So there's a lot of reason here for the Byzantine player to try and take water and go for a dock in Dark Age and then go into fire ships in Feudal Age. What I like about the Britons is that the Britons don't have to play that game. Now, you might want to play that game if you want to take this gold. I think that you should just scout this gold and take this. But what I've seen from the Britons is players like to go for the early barracks. And if they go for the early barracks, they go for militia. Militia can hit the fishing ships. Suddenly, you know, the other player who's going water has to wall. And then maybe you can surprise your opponent on water later on. So, I guess we'll see. I'm not sure if there's a civilization I really prefer here, but I will say that they both have their time. So, Margougou's, yeah, that's true. Margougou's gold is shaped like a W, though, so clearly he's going to win this game, right? Yeah, dream start for Sebastian. I said all the different things about him, right? I said how maybe he hasn't had quite as much of experience as Margougou, even though they're the same age. I talked about how maybe there'd be more nerves for him. But he played game one like an absolute champ. All right. Sebastian making a house now. We'll find out next whether it will be a barracks or a dock. I'd be surprised if we see anything else. There's the dock for him. And then we also have the dock for Margougou. So Margougou thinking more along the lines of focusing on the water. Not really a fan of that, as I've said before, but we'll see how it ends up playing out here. Yeah, Sebastian is from Uruguay, and then Margougou is from France. And actually, something I learned just the other day is that apparently Margougou didn't play before the Definitive Edition. But I don't know if I confirmed that with Margougou. And that might make Margougou one of the only players that I can think of in Titans League that didn't play before the Definitive Edition. Like, and I don't mean like play as a kid, but I mean like play as a high level. Like most people did before on Voobly. Like, I remember playing Sebastian. I didn't know a lot about him, but I remember playing Sebastian on the ladder on Voobly. He had a couple different names. One of them, again, was Call Me Subutai, but it's very rare to just, like, come into the Definitive Edition and be able to make it up to the top-tier echelon of players. Okay, so no laming. No water buffaloes have been stolen. 2 water buffaloes weren't found down here, though. And that's not the end of the world. Margougou has scouted the shoreline in a lot of different areas, but hasn't found the dock. Look at this scouting. Might be very confused right now. But, I mean, you got to look for your opponent's base as well, right? It's just weird to look at his scouting. And here you have Sebastian. And Sebastian's going to find the enemy, no problem. We have Feudal Age now for Margougou. And Margou's going double lumber camp. And if we see a couple villagers go to gold for Margougou, I assume it's going to be the water approach. But do you really want to go water approach against Byzantines? Is it possible maybe Margougou has a build order that can compete with the Byzantines there? Also, scouting the dock lake could have meant that maybe Margougou felt for a while there that his opponent wasn't going to dock. Certainly sees it now, is bringing the scout home. Second dock for Margougou. And we should see the second dock as well for Sebastian, though we don't see it just yet. Scout scouting around. Sebastian will be in Feudal Age a bit later than Margougou, so he has to be careful about attacking the scout. But he's going to need to get the second dock down soon. And there's the second dock. Also, love the fact that Margougou is going to the back gold. And there might even be a side benefit of accidentally finding these things later on, so that'll be nice. I don't like the double dock against Byzantines. I think it's a risky play. But if you can get away with it and prove me wrong, go for it. It's going to be galley opening. All right. Well, that makes sense, right? Byzantines have the faster working fires. Also, love how annoying Margougou is being because his scout's stronger. So here he is. And he's just attacking the scout. And now he sees the fishing ship and says, I'm going to hit that. I'm going to hit that again. You're going to have to micro that. I'm going to hit that. You better move your fishing ship. Where's your fire ship? Do you have a fire ship yet? Because I'm going to kill your fishing ship. Fishing ship's now being repaired. But now there's a scout. And I'm going to hit the scout too. Where's your fire ship? Don't see the fire ship yet. Here's the scout. Let's go hit the scout. He just keeps going. This is so annoying. He does need to be careful, though, because if the fire arrives, then suddenly he's going to have some problems. But, man, that was top-tier stuff. And there's the galleys. And now the scout goes down for Sebastian. So Sebastian didn't know that it was going to be this type of opening. And now the very weak scout runs away from Margougou, but the fires from Byzantines are here. And the pressure's on as we see a third dock for Sebastian. Yeah, this would just be an invitation for me to YOLO on water with fire ships if I were Byzantines. Definitely feels like in some ways Margougou is playing towards the Byzantine strengths, but having the scouts, awesome. There's also the bonus you have with your water buffalo with the Britons that you take advantage of the whole time. And he hasn't actually lost anything on water yet. And his micro's been very good so far. Very, very good. Here, sees this fire as the weak one goes home. Now going into a mix of galleys and a mix of fires. I feel like this dock is just such a game changer, man. Like, having this forward position to be able to repair your ships and just surprise your opponent with ships all the time is going to be so nice. He doesn't necessarily have the numbers right now. Sorry for all the dinging. When I click the ships, it dings. It's one of the most annoying things about water maps. Someone made a song about it. Highly suggest you look for it. It will change your life forever. Okay, galleys. No fletching yet. That weak galley is still being saved. Now the scout goes down. I don't know. Like, so far, I want to say it's so good for Margougou, but if I don't see fletching, I'm not getting excited about this. Feels like you really want fletching on these galleys, though he's whittling them down very nicely. I speak from experience playing this map and watching this. That experience doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be the reality. But yeah, maybe a demo is going to be needed here because that is so many fire ships. Oh my god. Okay, also houses galore over here for Margougou, who still doesn't have the fletching upgrade. The demo's now on the way out of that dock. And Sebastian's going to dive here. The KD is on the bottom left. It's 4-2, now 5-2. And there's also a villager in there as well. And now it's 6-3. 7-3. Will be 8-3 maybe? Wow, okay, that galley stays alive as well. Dang. Farm count coming in for Margougou. Love to see that. His food count's looking better to get to Castle Age. And screw the Byzantines, I guess. Who needs the Byzantines? And who needs fletching? What on earth is fletching? If Margou's able to push across the map here and clear out a couple fishing ships or even just get a reasonably fast Castle Age, I really start to like his position. Like, the big thing about Britons, if you don't have water, you can recover because you have cheaper town centers in Castle Age. But if you do have water, then I think you cement your victory with the cheaper town centers. I'm just not so certain, man. Like, there's still a lot of weak galleys. And they're just a couple hits from fire ships away from going down. And there's two, goes down just like that. More fires continue from Sebastian. Margougou needs to back away. The micro's been good. Don't get me wrong. We have full walls there from Sebastian. We also have a market from Sebastian, but Sebastian doesn't have any farms. Might be able to take out his opponent's fishing ships, but with a market, Margou's starting to buy some food. The most impressive thing here is that Margougou has better transitional food economy than the player who's doing what I consider to be the easier thing. Like, just spamming fires is so much easier than having to babysit galleys. So this eco has been sick. Now, you could lose all water control, and so you might make it a castle age, and then you've got nothing on water, which is not good. But I'm still impressed. And Sebastian, concerned, maybe even realizing here that the eco is that bad, is using the market to buy and sell resources to try and rush to the next stage. Margougou should maybe try and take the fishing ships out at this stage, because the galleys will accomplish nothing. And slowly, Margougou is going to lose these docks. KD's 14-14. And we have ourselves a pretty even game. So this is what I would do in the Britain's shoes. I would sadly give up water. It's a sad thing to say, but I would give up water. I would go for 3 TCs. And then I would have one of my town centers on the stone in hopes that I could eventually castle the shoreline and get the water back. Margougou is still making ships, not wanting to give up right now on this water dream. We'll see if that ends up working. I can obviously understand that too, right? You're in Castle Age faster, you could maybe catch up on water. That might be your thinking. But it's not going to be so easy, as this galley will go down. And Margougou's got 2 fire galleys, and that's it right now. T90 is the final for Gold League on Sunday. The final for Gold League is on Sunday. The semis as well. So we have best of 5 semis, and then we have a best of 5 final. I think it's a best of 5 final. It should be a best of 5 final, but we might still actually be best of 7. I forget. So the day won't be, in theory, quite as long as the final day this past weekend, but it still could be pretty long one. Wow, Margougou says, I'm going to do both. So I'm going to go water on 3 docks, and I'm going to drop TCs, because Britain TCs have been cheap forever. And I want to boom. And honestly, I didn't think he could get away with it. But he's going to get away with it here. I mean, not necessarily win water, but he's going to get away with the town centers at least. For Sebastian, he is adding the second town center now. And he's got 3 docks as well. And now demo has become a big talking point. Sebastian really needs to get War Galley upgrade. There he goes. See if he can complete it, actually. Fires do a pretty good job of taking out ships. Or docks, excuse me. But, ooh, it's close. This is going to be really close. I think he'll get it. Which will leave him on 2 docks, though, because he'll get the upgrade, and I don't know if he'll take a fight. But look at Margougou. Margou's just waiting with this demo, and Sebastian can't see it yet. Villager's also repairing. Here come the fires. This is where Margougou should send his demo out. He's got 2 of them waiting. And okay, Sebastian just gives up on the water there. All right, so eco and water. Eco and water. This is Golden Swamp for you. I do generally like the galley switch on this map because you can range so many resources. And that's how you really solidify control on water. But still no bodkin arrow on those galleys. But I was critical that fletching wasn't in earlier in this game. And Margougou still ended up being okay. Ooh, it's a lot of fire ships, though. Those demos need to get some value. Feels like Sebastian's just waiting. Also, of course, booming. It's not like they're not doing other things at the moment. 51 vills versus 56. Neither player has fishing ships. Actually, I lied. Sebastian has fishing ships. Oh, demos going out this way from Sebastian. He needs to demo the demos is what he needs to do here if he sees this. And he doesn't see that one. It's a really good one. He doesn't see the next one coming in either. And I don't think you really want to use demos against normal war galleys here. But I guess in the end, he still has decent amounts of fire ships and still no bodkin arrow for Margougou. So his galley number has risen to 11 now. Byzantines have the cheaper Imperial Age. Margougou adding farms. Margougou also will snag that relic there. I wouldn't mind to see the monk in the middle as well to convert some ships. That can always be nice. And we now have villagers transferring over to stone right now for Sebastian, who's on 3 TCs. And we also see villagers on stone for Margougou. So both players thinking about an eventual castle. This is a really close game. But with Bodkin Arrow in, this gets more complicated now for Sebastian to approach. And some players might go ballistics. I honestly wouldn't mind delaying it, but I think you also want to get the most out of your water control, right? Boom! Big demo. Remember, that gold is a problem. This gold is a problem. And this could all be a problem for Sebastian. So water feels even more important on this Golden Swamp generation than normal Golden Swamp generations. Yeah, there's some weak fires in there. No careening in. So the ships are starting to get whittled down. And it's looking better for Margougou. Good hit and run action. And now you don't know what to do if you're in Sebastian's shoes. If you were going to pressure land, you wouldn't have played Castle Age like this. So it's probably just going to be continuous fire ships. Now, in a closer game economically, and when I say that, I mean with farms, like if you had the faster imp time, then that's your way back with fast fire ships. So that's something that has to be thought about here. But checking the resources collected, we have a lot more food right now for Margougou. It was just faster to the TCs. And remember, Sebastian relied on using the market to go up. So he's had more on gold. Like, way more on gold. Which is a strategy, obviously. And you could tell Sebastian was thinking about looping around. And now is realizing that this needs to be addressed. I would like to see the market abuse continue, though. Continuing to buy food, rushing that faster Imperial Age is your way back into this game, possibly. Yeah, Margougou is locked in right now. Knows exactly what job needs to be done. Will now pressure with the Siege Workshop on this side. Something that Sebastian will have to react to. You have a couple fires looping around this way. Margougou's waiting. Margougou's got a monk. And Margougou also will have a demo in here. You could tell he actually clicked the thing he converted with the demo. Monk gets a conversion. Demo gets a hit. Fire's now looping. But there's just not many of them, and they're not engaging together. And we will now have a panic castle for Sebastian because the siege could be coming in any moment now, and the water could be lost soon. And Margougou really needs to get more on gold at the moment. Double university for Margougou. That's not something you see every day. And he did stop producing galleys, so he's only got 8 right now. So if Imp comes in for Sebastian... Oh, and if Sebastian gets a good engagement here, I could see Sebastian pushing this one back. In game 1, Margougou came aggressive. Sebastian responded, and then Sebastian just won the game. Game 2, Margougou had the early lead. Sebastian has been trying to catch up, and Sebastian has hung with him. Those Imp times are the same. This is a ridiculous game. I still am not completely sure what the plan is for Margougou, but now he's producing more Navy, and so I have my answers. This is the vision for Sebastian. Here he moves in. He'll see the dock. He'll be like, wow, I'm actually bringing this back. What in the world? And then he's going to see the castle. And so now he'll have a target. Okay, so there's a window here where you can push with fast fires into castle fire. And I think in that window, you could drop a castle here and follow it up with trebs and just go for the kill. But it's easier to use war galleys than it is fires the longer the game goes. Like with ballistics and bracer and all that. My concern for Margougou, though, is that Margougou is kind of dropped off with production. So there's one villager building a castle. The rest of the villagers are coming here. I don't think you can really deny that. Margougou, though, is going to add, I believe, stables on the side to eventually raid, which is why we're seeing some cav upgrades. But, man, is this close. It feels like if Sebastian can win this game, that Sebastian will win the series, right? Just because it's so close. Like, Margougou needs this one. To go down 2 games, I know we've seen it before when players bring it back to the 5th game. But to do that consistently is very difficult. Demos popping out. Fast fires soon in. Do you want to take the fight right now if you're Sebastian? The answer is yes. The answer is no. He backs away. He needs the fast fire upgrade, but he also needs trebuchets. That's a lot of wood. Now he has fast fire on the way. We have Galleon. We don't have Bracer for Margougou, but Margou's also opening with the treb. Also, when the raids get started, it'll be even crazier, but Sebastian sees this, and so Sebastian's going to attack now. Power Byzantines. Look at this vision. Also, one villager there on stone. Look at these outposts. Byzantines are awesome, man. Well, we're talking dock production. It's 3 versus 5. But who's going to win the treb war? Who's going to have the middle as we have another castle from Sebastian? But he doesn't actually have a lot of stone. He has that one villager on stone I showed you a moment ago. And Margougou quick-walled this villager in and will be raiding with light cav. That is not something that can be stopped. This is crazy. It's so close. I don't know who wins this. I know that Margougou needs Bracer, though. And I know that Margougou needs chemistry. And Margougou probably needs more ships, but at the same time, Margougou is going to get some raids in, which could really add up and be awkward. Sebastian needs stone, but Sebastian has access to gold, so can buy the stone. And they both have access to gold, but could actually mine the gold in the middle, I guess. And oh my god, we have Warwolf for Margougou. So Margou's going to try and use his own trebuchets to take out the trebuchets from Sebastian, which is so smart. And he's also just sitting here next to his trebs. Like, what are you going to do? You going to bring those fires in here? Because I have 2 castles. And I also have 4 demos. Oh, man. Missing Bracer is such a big thing for Margougou right now. And would benefit him so nicely. But look at Warwolf. Warwolf paying off. Boom. Hitting 2 out of the 3. Or 1 out of the 4. Or whatever. The treb count's changing. Guys, it's crazy. This is intense. Margougou could still lose the castle. Margougou could maybe lose the trebs to the fire ships or the galleons. Who knows? He's almost out of stone now. He doesn't have any more stone to be mined. But now the ships are gone for Sebastian. But Sebastian will take the castle out. And he could back away with his trebs. He has so many fires in queue as well. He's got like 20 fires in queue. And maybe if he could move his trebs like somewhere where the trebs from Margougou can't hit him, that could be the play. But dang. This castle here is 9 kills. Demo! No, demo doesn't hit. And oh, for the love of God, Margougou, you need to get... You desperately need to get Bracer here. Look at this reaction, though. It's just scouts right now as we see heavy demo. These scouts are causing such a big reaction from Sebastian as he's terrified. And he only wants to focus on the middle. The Vil count's high for Sebastian, but the army number is not. It's the galleons that have gotten the best out of the situation, guys. But if Margougou loses his castle, Margougou will lose this game. Potentially, anyways. Who knows what the scouts are going to do. Warwolf was such a good decision. Heavy demo's been researched by Margougou, who's housed currently. Honestly, it's a great tech, though. Getting heavy demo out against the fires would make the difference in the game. And there go the Warwolf trebuchets. Bam! Get out of here. Margou's barely holding on with this. But this could lead to him trebbing both the castles from Sebastian down. Sebastian now has fires and demos on the right, as he has fires waiting on the left. His navy count is actually just as high as Margou's. And Margou's missing Bracer, man. Oh, it's 2-2 with the relics. No one can really comfortably mine the middle. And here come the heavy demos, and you know the demos want to take out the trebs. That's what they'll want to go for. But there's demos from Margougou! And wait, but will the trebs survive? Huh! Huh! Boom! A lot of the trebs have gone down. The castle's still standing. The next treb should go down as well. He has to micro it, though. He has to actually focus that down. He does. Dang, man. But there's that one treb. There's the one treb that can take Sebastian's treb. And if that's the case, that might actually be it here. I have no clue. I mean, I look at this and I see this. I mean, remaking a lumber camp on 5 trees is never a good sign. 25 villagers sitting there is never a good sign. Scouts being a problem is never a good sign. And your opponent, who still doesn't have Bracer, holding to one castle and slowly trubbing down your castles in the middle on Golden Swamp, also never really a good sign. I mean, there's no way, like, Margougou is somewhat exposed at home, but there's just no way in this position that Sebastian can ever deal with that. So it's good. Like, Margougou took the initiative in the middle, and then so he knew, I can use this time to push the mid. Push the sides, which will give me more success in the middle. That was a really nice demo shot. I also like how he's punishing the fact that his opponent has only gone for fires by just camping the trebs with demos and saying, come here. Boom, another demo. It actually hits a demo plus some fires. It's perfect. Sebastian is panicking and producing villagers nonstop, which happens to the best of us, but that makes the population very deceiving for him. I don't think 147 villagers with 82 on wood is ever a great sign. It is crazy to me, though, that it was just one castle. Like, if he lost his trebs and then lost his castles, that might have been the difference in the game. More demos run in. All right. There you go. Castle will go down for Sebastian. His villagers on gold in the middle will be relocated. Margougou, just like before, heads in with 2 demos. And the demo will make it there. Boom. Over here we have stables from both players, but we know Sebastian's ready to spam. And when I said Sebastian, I meant Margougou, but Sebastian might want to do so as well, so technically it's the truth. Yeah, this has done so much damage. And it's a slow creep towards the middle, but the heavy demos go in, and the heavy demos get some really good attack value. But now the castle is down for Sebastian. He doesn't have a way to deal with his castle, but Margougou needs to repair it, man. I don't know, like, the lack of Bracer thing has me so concerned. So could lose this Treb. So now he has no Trebs. These are Byzantine fires. You never know. There's some weak ones in here as well. Oh, the demos! The demos! The demos! The demos will hit the... Ah! Hit him! No way! What's happening? What's happening? Margougou's he's got to desperately repair his castle, but there's ships everywhere. Oh my god. And I'm sure demos are going to pop out from both players. Don't tell me he's actually doing this, Sebastian. He's got the gold, guys. Oh, he's Vil rushing. He's Vil rushing as well. Get murder holes, Margougou. No way. That's actually so good to Vil rush because you need to lose villagers. And it's just something else to hit that castle because you don't have siege right now. What in the world? So now the Vils go down. Now you're like kind of upset because you lost Pop. But if he knew how good his situation was right now, I don't think he'd be too upset. The opponent's got no navy. Sebastian can do this. He still has gold and he can still make trebs from this castle. Oh my god. I thought Margougou was going to be able to cement his position in the middle, but he doesn't have trebs. And he doesn't have navy. And the production from Sebastian's nonstop. Also, the couple camels have been sent around to deal with some of the raids, which has been awesome. I mean, the production's coming back out here for Margougou, but there's a Treb. And there's also a tower here, which I love. Just anything to fortify the middle for as long as possible. Like, Margougou's got this gold, and then that's it for gold. And has the 2 relics on the side. Margougou's also going to kill those villagers. And that tower is extremely helpful, as is the ram there, and as are the trebs. So now Margougou needs to take care of the trebs. Wow, man. He must think he has Bracer right now, right? Like, obviously, that's something that's been forgotten. And I don't know if that would have made all the difference because of Sebastian's stubbornness. But what a comeback here, man. I thought he had water lost, but the Byzantine fires and the pressure is going to swing this game. And when the castle's down, Margougou will have no answers. He can't easily raid on this side. He could raid on this side, and he's starting to do that. Okay, now what you do if you're Sebastian, though, is you... Once the docks are cleared, you have to switch into Galleon. Once the docks are cleared. And obviously, you know, it's stressful. So he's got to mix in farms, too, which he's going to start to do with that wood count. But he's got the gold in the middle, and he has 1 water now. And Margougou, I think he's going to consider resigning, honestly. He's no gold. And he will... I mean, he could raid this side. This is his win condition. And maybe here. Maybe here, because there's only a couple camels. But he needs to use that to come back on water. And he doesn't really have a large gold bank to ever come back on water. But maybe there's a world where Sebastian, who continues to just overboom with villagers, he's stressed. There's a world where he loses all of his main eco to the trash units. And then all he has is the middle, which would be crazy. Like, look at the light cap spam. Oh my god. What is happening? Guys, the light cap pikeman spam is insane. All the buildings are producing here. Margougou is going to try and come back on water. Doesn't want to fully give up on it. Also, light cav are going to run through this way. Pikes are going to run through as well. Okay, crossbow's the right choice. I think going into Arbalest would be awesome. But, like, the buildings aren't really there right now for Sebastian. Oh, he's got buildings here. Oh, this is funny. So, this is the other thing that makes this complicated. So, you need to... So, buying any food or buying wood right now would be a mistake if you're Sebastian, because that means that the opponent gets more gold from selling. So you have to fight the urge, resist the urge to buy resources or sell resources. Kind of, you're both players. But like, look at Margougou. He can sell because he needs it. And this guy could actually make this happen. He's got 32 farms. He could continue to make more. He's going to sneak back on water. No way, dude. No way. What a game. What a game. And the camel defense would work against light cav. And it's obviously cost gold, which, as you have 72 on gold. But camel defense is not going to be enough. You would need to also have crossbow or like some form of archer unit. And finally he's making it, but he's so far behind on upgrades. Like, he doesn't even have bracer. Or I mean, okay, no one has bracer, but he doesn't even have bodkin arrow. So can no bodkin arrow crossbowman be enough? I think probably. Maybe. But there will be demos coming out of these docks from Margougou as he's desperate to get back to the middle. Honestly, raiding the middle with light cav would be really good as well. The castle does go up back here for Sebastian, though. This has been so messy. As Margougou's desperate. And he's going to come back again. And this will be probably the last castle he'll ever have in this game. So he needs to keep that alive. It's the right play, though. Raid his base and then switch back onto water. And boom! Guys... It's possible that Sebastian won't have the wood to make more navy. We need to understand that that's a reality for him right now. The guy who's making archers and barely has a wood line might not be able to stop his opponent from coming back on water. He's got a lot on water, sure, that he can use, and he could buy the wood with 5,000 gold. But let's see. Margougou needs the demos, and he desperately, desperately, desperately needs to realize he doesn't have bracer. Margougou has more villagers. And hey, Bracer's coming in. There's a chance. There is a chance. Now the Trebs are coming forward for Sebastian. And Margougou, he doesn't really have a lot of time right now. So he needs the mass to be here soon. And he needs, more specifically, the demos to land. Which he doesn't really have the gold for. The Trebs are going to go for the docks now. Which helps him get his mass up and fall back to his castles. We have bodkin arrow now for Sebastian, who still has issues in his eco. Like, this economy is still really, really bad. There's only 5 fire ships, guys. You're kidding me. You're kidding me. That's the end of the fire ships. Margougou can get gold again, maybe. Look, like, this is the eco for Sebastian, pretty much. But the Arbs, they're helpful against the raids. The Arbs are helpful against the raids. What is there going to be in the middle? The Trebs are going down. Margougou still has a chance. And send all the vills and just drop a TC. Just drop that TC as quickly as possible in the middle area. Also, with 50 or 60 on gold, that's half of Sebastian's economy. He needs to be back on water now. These villagers are actually going to dive in for the tower. I'm not sure about that. I would say make a mining camp here. You don't have... A lot of people forget you can't build on this. So instead of a mining camp there, you could actually make it here. More galleons are on the way. There's red dots and blue dots all over the map. We now have camels and a random water buffalo. Everything just running into Margou's base. All new villagers from Margougou need to go directly to the gold, though. I mean, he is still getting gold. He's losing the vills. I really wish he would have made the mining camp back here, but still, he's getting gold. And Sebastian, he needs to get more fire ships out. And maybe he needs to get Arbalest and Siege to hit Margou's main eco. Oh, they're both having some big problems. Also, I agree with the call out in chat. I think if Sebastian would use that to buy stone, like buying food you don't want to do, but buying stone and dropping another castle there in the middle would be really nice. But at the same time, that could always get taken out if you don't have enough water control by cannon galleons, which is what we have Margougou making. God, this is so stressful. Margou's probably microing there. Forgot to micro on this side. There's also, you know, buildings and raids happening, and it's just ridiculous. Sebastian's kind of clearing up Margou's sides now. And he's now back on water with about, like, let's say 20 or so things on the water. Still denying the gold. That's the important thing. Still denying the gold from Margougou. And Margougou calls it. Margougou calls it. What a game. What a ridiculous game. And he says, realize not, +1 feudal and +3 imp. Dad gum. He uses the taunt. That maybe is a peek into his mindset as well here. Because I don't know if I would tell my opponent that. You know, like that's something for after the series. That's something you tell yourself or your friend later. But he mentions it just like it's a ranked game. And that's true. He didn't have fletching in feudal age. I was questioning it back then. And he didn't have Bracer, and maybe Bracer would have made the difference. Because he had like 30 galleons. What a game, though. The ferociousness from both players, as someone just said in chat, was just top tier this game. Margougou's never say die attitude to try and bring the game back by the rating was awesome. And then Sebastian, who had 70 on gold, probably felt like he was going to throw the game. And he was able to stabilize and bring it back. So, the Uruguayan, man, up 2-0 right now and 1 win away. He needs 1 win from the next 3 to be promoted into the top 8. Well, he would be the top 8, in Gold League. And then he would, of course, be one of the players promoted into Platinum next season. Had a lot more wood and gold secured in this map. And, you know, the gold one's obviously big. For Margougou, I feel like it was all balanced perfectly, actually. I felt like the raids were fine. But he just, after taking out the castles from Sebastian, he just couldn't get the follow-up. You know? Like, he had... that's why I think Bracer would have made the difference. Because he had the mass, and he had the position where the follow-up should have happened, and it didn't happen, and Sebastian was able to do such a good job. I don't think that it was necessarily the raiding from Margougou that was the mistake. I think you can raid the sides and also push the middle with the galleons, but he just ran out of resources. Dang. Yeah, I'm not going to spend my gold, but I'm going to make sure that you don't get access to any of it. He's just going to save that gold for later. Sebastian playing as a Burgundians here. Man, what a win that previous game was. Now, I should say it's going to be a difficult fight back for Margougou because of how good Sebastian's looked today. And that is true. But also, we have seen players bring it back to the 5th game multiple times throughout Titans League. So Margougou will need to take this one game at a time. Now, we haven't seen Mayans picked that frequently on this map. In fact, we've even seen civilizations like Ethiopians picked more frequently than Mayans. But I don't think that's because the Mayans are bad. I just think that's because the Mayans might be better for Houseboat or Arabia and some of the other maps we've seen. So you do have to keep that in mind. It's like some of the best civilizations are seen in more niche spots at times. Yeah, I don't mind it. Burgundians can get their eco upgrades 1 age earlier. I have seen the Burgundians, and I'm glad that the devs announced that there's going to be some type of a tweak to the Burgundians in the next patch. I forget exactly what it was, but they're so good. I really don't think whatever change they proposed. I think they did 40% off on eco upgrades. I still think that's way too dirt cheap. And I think this civilization will continue to be banned when bans are allowed in future stages of Gold League because it's sick. It's disgusting. It was already something to be able to research an eco upgrade one age earlier. But then people, you know, they didn't really like use it right away. So devs were like, oh, okay, well, people didn't figure it out. Boom. Made it 50% off. That combined with the charge attack from that silly unit from their castle makes them really tough to stop. And so if I'm Sebastian, I would want that unit. And I think I would play fast feudal into defensive walls and invite a bit of pressure. As Margougou says, no boar, question mark. Oh, that's a great sign. What? You played the whole group stage, and then you make it here. This is your home map. You are one series away from getting into Platinum League for the next season, and you're asking if there's a boar on this map. There has never been a boar on this map. Oh, that bothers me. That bothers me so much. I mean, it was very nice from Sebastian to you know, say something and say no. Like, Sebastian has no obligation to inform Margougou of the situation. Now, can someone go to Liquipedia and tell me if Margougou played this map at all in his group stage games? Because now I'm very curious. But yeah, anyways, yeah, there's no boars on this map. So let's hope that Margougou wasn't planning a strategy around boars and is instead planning a strategy around the pigs and the deer here. Played ravines once in the group stage. Okay, thank you for checking that. Feels like a weird question to ask, but maybe it is just mind games. I don't know. But yeah, so this is how I view it with Burgundians, right? So you go fast feudal, fast-ish feudal with some walls. If your opponent goes to feudal H and they make army, you then defend from that army and rush Castle Age eco upgrades because it's cheap. If your opponent goes fast castle or they don't apply pressure in feudal H, you're still fine. You just don't make army, and then you still boom up with Castle Age eco upgrades in feudal H. Like, the only real weakness for this civilization would be on a map where it's very open and you can't like sit back and take advantage of eco upgrades. But the way players are going to play on maps these days is they usually should be able to take advantage of it. Wow, Sebastian's going up really, really fast. Way faster than I even expected here. I think some of the Platinum League players were going 21 pop. So I guess those players were also walling a little bit more. Both players running dangerously close to a town center, which again makes me want to say why. Okay. How does a scout take no damage? That one I get. That one I don't really get. Somehow, Sebastian gets away without taking any damage from that scout. The Margougou will be a little frustrated there. Sebastian looking around hunting for villagers. So we're going to have a couple of villagers go to gold for Margougou. And the expectation here, I guess, is that it's going to be archers for the Mayan player. Sebastian scouting around. Sebastian misses out on seeing that pig just like Margougou did. And Margougou knows exactly where his opponent is, but not exactly what his strategy is going to be. And just walls for now from Sebastian, as we see the barracks next to the berries now. Sebastian has a hole. You mean this? I actually don't think that's a hole. It looks like a hole, but I think it's because of the hills. And if you look at the white tiles or the white lines around it, I don't think it is. But yeah, I guess it's going to be... Well, originally, I think he wanted to go for scouts. And he either just spotted the militia or expects the militia. So he's going to go for a range opening now. But yeah, he's got to get lots of walls down here. And hasn't been able to rush any Castle Age eco upgrades yet. They're not as smooth as you would want. And that's why I think a lot of the top players were going up a little bit slower. So your eco's in a better state when you make it. Man-at-Arms is interesting. It's not a bad play for this map, and you do always feel like you need to pressure the Burgundians. I can understand it for that reason. And there is a hole here for Sebastian. Sebastian hits that, though. Realizes the situation. Hitting the eagle now. Has seen the militia all the way in because of the outpost. And was even able to take that deer because that deer ran right towards him. And now the army from Margougou runs into the TC fire. And so far, so good for Sebastian. So he's kind of doing what I mentioned, right? You just play into defense because your opponent's being aggressive. And your eco upgrades are so cheap, you're basically an age up on your opponent. But you don't want to rush it too early. It's always tricky because especially a player like Margougou will have a really fast archer follow-up. So back to like Burgundians from a balance perspective. I believe that it should be like 25% off or something. Because it's already really strong bonus to be able to get it one age earlier. Even if you get it like while you're on your way to the next stage. That's already really nice. But to be able to get it an age earlier and then also get it discounted feels a lot to me. Like Viking Eco. People have been talking about Viking Eco being strong for years. But you have to arrive to the next age before you get that. And I guess in that case it's free. I don't know. Like maybe it's the Coustier. Like maybe they take care of the Coustier, but it's a strong civ, man. And you know it's strong because people try and do everything they can to stop it, and in the end, people just end up banning the civilization from the draft because they just don't know. They're like, I don't know what to do. We'll just give up on it. Margougou playing into a blacksmith. Margougou's archer still at home. Margougou's gone for no follow-up army, so might have some concerns that the holes could be a problem. And we have fletching now on the way for Sebastian. Sutter says, I feel like there has to be some sort of discount for the age early thing to work. Well, before there was a discount, people were just getting it right before hitting the next stage by like a minute or two, which I still felt like was a really nice bonus. I still felt like that was a nice bonus, but it wasn't like quite as designed as it is now. So I would like to see it like maybe 25% off. Because it feels like a freebie at 50%, and I don't see 40% making a difference, but maybe I'm wrong on that. Margougou hops out of the range. Sebastian wanted to be aggressive. And looks like this game, Margougou is going to get fletching, but the timing was not perfect here. And you have the archer army trying to micro down the man-at-arms, and the skirmisher army will try and go for the archers, and Sebastian defends. Also, Sebastian, 28 seconds of TC idle time. A minute and a half right now for Margougou. As the man-at-arms are going to try and get in, but they won't find any gaps. And Margougou falling back home, probably feeling some level of despair, being down 2 games. And knowing that the Burgundians could be working off Castle Age Eco upgrades right now. Got the skirms. We've got the scout pressuring. Now, normally what you do is make an eagle here in Margou's position. But you could also just make like 1 or 2 of your own skirms. And you should be able to micro this down. And this is sloppy for Sebastian. The man-at-arms also, I think they died. Yep, they did die. Farming eco looking pretty healthy. 10 plus farms. Here you've got about 9 farms. Mayans are known for how good their archer play is. And that's what Margougou has at the moment. Just archer mass, snipes the scout, has the eagle. Well played. Very well played. Total KD right now, 6-1 for Sebastian, but I'll congratulate him for the scout kill. Obviously, losing the 3 men-at-arms wasn't that big of a deal. His eco has been fairly solid behind this as well. But Margougou feeling the need to buy some stone, to sell the stone, sorry, and buy some food to be able to compete. Okay, 5 skirms and 4 archers. And this is the second berry position. This can affect your food. You're buying resources to get to Castle Age faster, but losing out on farm space and losing out on berries, and obviously not having army as well could be a big issue, but food count's very deceiving here. You're close, but are you really going to be able to compete with the uptime of the opponent who's coming with scouts now? And so Sebastian with the hill will micro down the archers. Now the scout's going to help against that skirmisher, or eagle, sorry. The scouts will be great against skirmishers, which is what my brain wanted to say. And Sebastian, with that scout follow-up, is destroying Margougou. And it's 14 to 4 KD. And you've got Castle Age eco upgrades. It's all discounted. We've got the range still producing, and we've got the scout still on the way. And this pressure is just nonstop. Is this going to be a sweep? I mean, sure, you've walled in this army, so like more units can't come in, but you don't have any units, Margougou. You have no army, and there's still archers in here. That archer goes down, 19 to 5 KD. This skirm's going to go down. This gate's actually going to end up going down, so now the follow-up's in, and this is over, man. This is over. I've said that Margougou had a bit more tournament experience while they come in around the same age. They're both players who have massively improved over the last year or two on the Definitive Edition. But I did not expect Sebastian to show up and look this killer, man. Game 2 was awesome. Game 1 was really cutthroat. This game, he makes it look very easy. And maybe Margougou is a little too used to the Arabia meta of trying to buy your way up or something, but I'd mentioned that thing about the board, didn't get Fletching and Bracer in the previous game, so might be a little bit tilted at the moment. It clearly doesn't want to call it. It's a sucky position where you're like, I should fight more. This shouldn't be a 21-minute game. But I can hear the chants, man. Uruguay, Uruguay. I don't even think we have that many Uruguayan viewers, but I think people from surrounding countries have been enjoying Sebastian's play and just cheering for the guy. And I'm happy for him. I could say right now that there's no way that this is possible for Margougou to bring it back. It's just too devastating. So I could say congratulations, Sebastian, as poor Margougou. I mean, you've got no win condition, right? You can't take golds. Your Eagles are not going to cut it. Still a minute till you're in Castle Age. You don't have stone, so you won't be able to get a second TC. He's trying to get Eagles out, and his opponent will just be able to get Cavalier in Castle Age. And it's not even that, but we could have the unique unit follow up as well. Dang. Uruguay represent here? Nice. So are you guys actually from Uruguay? To be honest, I didn't know a lot of the Uruguayans that watch me are from Uruguay until we started watching Sebastian. Because then you guys are like, Uruguay represent, let's go. Well, I guess Margougou makes it to the next stage. He's lost 12 villagers. He'll have 3 eagles. And 3 eagles might be able to take care of this. You still got scouts running around. I guess Margougou will continue. Now that eagle goes down. Some more villagers could die. I don't see, like, if there was an opportunity to counterattack, then maybe there's a chance, right? Like, oh, you're in Castle Age, so you're going to run over and kill more villagers, and then it's going to be a crazy comeback. But nah, there's no way. Margougou calls the GG. That is the series. Margougou gives him the well played. Sad that it wasn't Margou's day. But man, did Sebastian look good. He would have the castle up. He'd have the Coustier. He'd be able to boom this one out for the rest of the game. Again, Sebastian, just to quickly tab out to Wikipedia. Sorry, it's somewhere here. So I want to show you guys Sebastian's results. So he was second place in his group behind Sato, who many people felt like should have been in Platinum the first season. He took a win off of Sato in the first week. He then beat Daniel 2-1 the second week. He beat Kingston 2-1 the third week. Bloodless 3-0. And then he did lose in the final round to Overtaken, which was, I was rooting for Overtaken to stay alive in his group. Sadly, he was 5th place. But anyways, this group was insane, and Sebastian came out 2nd place in it. And you now have Sato, who's promoted, Sebastian, who's promoted, and Kingston, who's promoted from Group D because of results. Both Sebastian and Kingston moving on past their round of 12 matches. So that concludes the round of 12. I'll quickly look at the statistics. This was a painful one for Margougou, that is. Margougou will be back in the Gold League next season. We'll live to fight another day, obviously. But I did have a very good performance within the group stage as well. Just not quite good enough to say you're top 8 out of gold. There's the resources. It was very clean. And truthfully, I feel like the second I saw Burgundians and the 2-0, I just felt like this is going to be a sweep because it's such a good civ, such an easy civ to play, but also Margougou, I felt like had like some mental hurdles that he needed to get over here going into this final game.